Welcome to the Amazing Grace Talk podcast. Conversations that explore how God has pursued those He has made in His image. My wife and host, Erika Seamayer-Williamson, is on a journey to meet everyday people who have experienced a radical encounter with the divine presence of unconditional love. These are the stories that remind us why God's grace is amazing.
Hello, everyone. Again, this is Erika Seamayer-Williamson, and thank you for joining us again today here on Amazing Grace Talk. This is part 2 with my daughter, Erika Laine and Kevin Batista. Today, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the subject on raising a child as a single mom, and then Kevin, as he hijacked the podcast, which we're grateful for, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into the retreats and what we do at the retreats and how they can bless others. So let's pick it up right here with part 2 of my conversation with Kevin and Erika Laine. Hey, gratitude will change a lot. Mm-hmm. When you feel sorry about yourself, go help somebody else.
Mm-hmm. It's a good word.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, because when she and I we'd moved back from the Hamptons, and came back and we're going to fellowship. And so I'm telling you, we plugged into serving, and that was a tough time. I remember that was, it's like everything everybody's felt in this last year, I felt in 2008 when. Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this, like, while you're saying that,
yeah.
You were a single mom.
Yeah.
You were solely responsible for the income in your family.
Yes.
So all of that pressure was on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. You're trying to raise a child, trying to pay for rent, trying to do all the things that you need to do. And we know, because Erika Laine was already in middle school, so she had a lot of extracurricular activities that were going on. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that time was not just one of those things you had in abundance.
Right.
And yet you still found the time to serve the church consistently.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just knew it was our lifeline. I mean, we really did, because like you remember with the crash of 2008, when everybody was, my income went from, it cut in half. And I remember thinking, what are we going to do? I mean, we had all that pressure on us, and we ended up, God came through and we worked it out. We had a lot of funny stories in between there that will be in my book. We won't talk about today. But we really were survivors. And, I remember even during that time, struggling and feeling, I was okay being single most of the time, because she was my main. Erika Laine was my priority. She thought that I was a stay-at-home mom, even though I had 2 and 3 jobs. I worked a lot of freelance jobs, but I was always there to drop her off at school, pick her up at school, and through the years I had
Be in the room mom,
yes. Getting to do everything, and that was I would have rather, that was my choice. And I chose that, and I would never choose differently to, we may have not had all the money in the world, but God got us through in so many ways. And, when we started tithing, that was a whole nother blessing that came upon us. And, I was grateful that we learned all of that as well, because God just provided. And I'm happy to say that you tithe yet today.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I know that's a whole nother subject, but I'm blessed that we even got baptized together.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do. I have a picture of that. It's amazing, because what you're talking about is, some people believe that if they had all the money in the world, like if they just took their job and they made double the amount magically, that all of their problems would be solved magically. If I go out and buy a lottery ticket today and I win, all my problems will be solved. And I'm talking to those who maybe are struggling financially right now, and they're going through a hard time. I remember that season in your life. It was a difficult season.
It was.
I could tell that it weighed heavy on your heart, and it felt like it was like week to week, or day to day.
Yeah.
And yet through all of that, I, as a pastor, as a person just on the outside, you never missed church. You always had your daughter in church. You were consistent with all the chaos and all of the craziness that was happening.
A lot.
You were incredibly consistent through all of that. a steady force through all of that, an example for many single moms, I think, out there. And it's admirable that you were able to do that.
Well, thank you. There was on the first podcast, Robin asked me, how did you know to do that? From going from here to, getting prayed over by Lucia at your salon to all of a sudden you're, Erika Laine's in church and y'all are serving. And how did you know that? And I said, I knew that I wanted it for me, but I knew without a doubt at all. It was just, there was no negotiating that I was going to raise her in that. Because like I said, Erika Laine has, had some family things go on. Then she had brain surgery, 4 of them. She could easily say, poor me, why me? Mm-hmm. I can't believe, this all happened. And yes, she started in counseling from the time when all this started and, 3rd grade. And then we were in church consistently after that. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful that even though all of those years, even after, there were times I would still call Kevin, he was at a different church, whatever, we had this relationship. And
Sure.
then I could call on and you always answered the phone, to be able to have that, the love and support of people, that knowing that you were going to guide in the right direction and different things. So I really appreciate that as well.
I have a question, a follow-up. So ever since I've known both of you, you have been close. You've always had a special friendship and a special bond as mother and daughter. That's very unique because, let's be honest, there's probably a lot of listeners out there who have a tense relationship with their moms, may have a tense relationship with their daughters. Mm-hmm. What do you guys do to keep the air clear, to stay close as mother and daughter, to stay close as friends? Like, I feel like both of you champion one another and you encourage one another. Is that fake or is that real?
It's real. I look up to my mom so much. I do. I really do. There's times where we're butting heads, but I know that with me, I'm just like, okay, I just need to step away or walk away. Or even because I live in South Dakota now, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to get off the phone before I say something that I'm going to regret later. So I'll hang up.
So there's boundaries there.
Yes. And then but this is only like 5% out of the 95% where we're having so much fun and we're laughing, we're quoting movies back and forth to each other.
How does it feel when she treats you like 12-year-old Erika Laine versus, how old you are, adult Erika Laine? How do you balance those moments?
Sometimes I'm like, okay, that's all I say. I just make it real short and simple. Or other times I will say, Mom, you raised me as a strong, independent woman, and so that is what I'm doing. And I'll give her reasons of why I'm making the decision that I had or whatever. And so I have to almost remind my mom, I watched you growing up. So just trust me and know that I'm making the right decisions for myself.
Something I think that she does that's incredible is I trained her in microblading and permanent makeup, so a career that I had for 25 years, and then she got interested in it, and I trained her, and then, we lived in different states, so she would send me pictures. It was like I apprenticed her, she would send me pictures. I'd say, okay, on the touch-up, do it this way, or, I would say maybe I would draw on the markup on your phone, maybe put an arch here and something there. And it's interesting because she's a fabulous artist now, and I say she's better than I am, which is great. But she never once, you would think at one point she'd be like, or kind of have a bad attitude, or gosh, she telling me that again. Every single text back or conversation was, thanks so much, I'll do that, with a big smiley face. And even still, I'd be like, can't believe. I was just so glad, but it was great. But, she'll let me know. She listens. Sometimes it's like she's the oldest soul, and she will just listen. And it's almost like she's comforting you back to what you're telling her, like, thank you for telling me that. I really appreciate that. I'm thinking, who's the adult here?
So what's the secret? Like, what's that secret, or those things that you would tell somebody of, like, how to have a good relationship with your children?
Respect each other. I think respecting and don't you think?
Yeah.
Respecting and honoring them as a human being and as a person. Now, this is getting a little off track, but there is something that I did that I didn't realize I was doing years ago, kind of telling on myself a little bit. We had kind of a lot of tragedy things and family stuff going on when she was in about 3rd grade. And so 8 years old-ish, we kind of went to survival mode, and it was more of not just being a parent to Erika Laine, but a protection survival mode. So that went into a whole nother place for me. And years later, she would say, Mom, you're treating me like I'm 5. And I always thought that I respected and didn't treat her that way at all. But I've talked about it before on the show, but the road adventure that I went through, it's just you walk through all of your, different things in your life, and you actually, instead of like taking notes or whatever, you walk through your pain and your past and are guided in the right direction. But I remember going through, it was actually part 4, and there was something that came up about that. And what I found that I did, and I didn't even realize, was at the time of her at an 8-year-old, I locked her into that age. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I had to grow through that. Once I realized what I was doing, I remember I came back to you and I was just crying, and I said, I'm so sorry that I did that. I didn't even realize. But then she came back to me and understood and said, you were just trying to protect me, and sorry.
It's okay.
Where's my Kleenex? Anyway.
That's beautiful.
You got it. But it was good. I was open to learn that, it was time for me to, she was okay now, and I didn't have to protect her in that way anymore. So anyway, I don't know what else to say about that.
That's good. I think that's an encouragement to so many people out there who maybe have children who are getting older. How do you remember a time where you no longer saw Erika Laine as a child, but now she was an adult? Like when did that hit you?
I don't even know. We've just always been a single mom, 16 years.
Close.
We've just been so close, and it's not only so close, we went through a lot together. And so I don't even know. I don't remember a time that I felt like maybe then when you moved away or help us out.
I do have something to say, just backtracking for all of the listeners out there. If you are like a daughter or a son, know that your parents aren't saying things to you to like deter you from what you're doing, but like if they're giving you advice or if they're telling you not to do this and giving you the reasons why. I was there too, but you can be defiant and you can go on and do whatever you did, but then there's going to be a point in time to where you're like, that is why they told me not to hang out with those people, or why they told me not to go and do those things. And you'll go back to your parents and say, well, that's why you said that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
They're not there to almost like live your life, or maybe that's not even the right wording that I want to say, but they're almost there to just be as like a guidance, and they're your parents for a reason. God didn't give you the parents that you have out of random. He gave you the parents you have for a purpose and a reason. So,
yeah. And, another thing, if your parents, I just thought of this, but if your parents say they don't go to church or they're not plugged in, there's a lot of kids. You've seen it. We've all seen it where, the kids find a place. So don't feel like your parent has to guide and lead you.
Yeah.
Maybe find someone at school and that goes to church and actually I just handed my card out. I have a little a card that says Amazing Grace Talk, and it's got a little QR code on the back, and I was dropping my cleaning off, and these 2 young girls, they're like 15 years old, and I said, do y'all ever listen to podcasts? And I was wondering if they're thinking, just certain technology, how certain age groups do or don't listen to or do or participate in, and they said, oh, sometimes. And it was the cutest thing because I said, oh, okay, well, I started a podcast and I was just going to give you a card. And they go, oh, no, we want one. But at first I thought, oh, it's just little girls saying, oh, no, this old lady, And I said, well, hang on, I'll get one. So I go to my car. I come back and they read on the back of it where it said Christ-centered, retreat. And both of them at the same time were the cutest things. They go, "We love Christ."
Oh, that's
awesome.
so cool.
It was just the cutest thing ever. And one of them was like, "My friend told me about Trinity." And, we've always invited people to church and everything. But, you can speak on that too. I'm sure a lot of kids come that the parents don't come.
I mean, going back to this, this topic, all I can tell you is I can't speak for my parents of when they started seeing me as an adult versus being a child. All I remember from my experience was till about, through my high school years, I just remember thinking my dad's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. And then when I turned 18 and I went to college and I was basically by myself, my parents were in a totally different continent at that time. I just remember the thought just hit me so like smack dab in the face. It was like, my dad is a genius. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And that for me was the big transition, was when I finally got on my own and really almost truly on my own. I realized how much my dad knew after all. Like everything started coming back and making sense at that point.
Yeah.
I can say that. You mentioned a retreat. I was just at a retreat not that long ago, and even though there's something special about getting away from your routine,
yes,
and getting away from your normal everyday life, the chaos, the confusion, the craziness of everything that's happening. And it was about mid-Saturday when I was just having a moment with the Lord, and it was just God just refreshed me and renewed my soul, and it was all because I got away for just a few moments of the craziness of that. You have a lot to say about that, about getting away and being in a place of seclusion and
in the Black Hills. We're going to take a brief moment away from this podcast and tell you about our sponsor for today. It's Blue Diamond Roofing Construction. It's actually my husband, Erika Williamson. He is a man of God who loves to serve people. And honey, tell us what sets you apart of other roofers or other construction. Tell us about that.
Well, we are not the roofers that are going to come and knock on your door and harass you wanting to sell you something that you don't need. We are going to look out for your best interest, what's going to work best for your house, your income, whatever. We have different levels of materials, shingles. We do windows, gutters, painting, siding, flooring, basically anything that you need at your home, we can handle for you.
Okay. How are we going to reach you?
Well, you can call our office at 469-360-1578. You can email us at ericbdrc@gmail.com.
That's Eric with a K.
Yes, Eric with a K. Yep. Yep. To come out and take a look or give an estimate, there is no charge for that.
Okay.
If you have emergency repairs where you have a storm, a tree falls, you've got a hole in your roof, whatever, you can call us. We have 24 hours, 7 day a week emergency repairs.
Awesome. All right. Might take us away from more chicken dinner, but hey, he's there to serve. Thanks, everybody.
Why do I like to use Young Living essential oils? I love to use Young Living essential oils for my allergies because I mix a capsule of lemon, lavender, and peppermint. And I love putting Peace and Calming for nighttime on the bottom of my feet and in my diffuser. And I love the smell of abundance before I'm about to get into prayer time. For more information on how these oils can change your life as well, check the link in the show notes.
I was just, in a yoga class stretching, and, when I'm in class, I'm praying the entire time, and God put that on my heart 2016, and I didn't have a clue what that meant. I didn't know, I just thought, okay, I felt God speak to me and say a retreat, and I spent about a year just being obedient to his word, obedient to what he had told me, and, then I was going to lead women. So we started that. I just thought the reason it's very specific, the things we do at the retreat. First of all, it's in the Black Hills of South Dakota, so it's in the mountains. And
beautiful place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it just so happened to be that Erika Laine, you live there most of the time that, I was doing the retreats, and she comes help to facilitate and sings praise and worship and everything. But, we go hiking. That's a time that you can get away with God. There's actually the retreats are mostly uplifting, helping people see what God sees in them and what their purpose is in life. Getting away, that's what the retreats are mainly for. But we do get into unforgiveness. That was something that I had to grow through that nearly broke me years ago, but that's now my ministry, codependency and unforgiveness. And, we do one of the things that's really cool. We have a time we play praise and worship music and just a quiet 15, 20 to 30 minutes and allow people to write down on the people that are there on little index cards. And I explained about forgiveness and what happens if you don't forgive and how your life is not going to be clutter-free. How you can't get past things if you don't forgive certain people. And just explain breaking the chains away. But what happens with that is they write down all of the things that they need to forgive themselves, which we all know that's the hardest thing to do than forgiving others. But we do all those things, and as we go out to it's called you're not going to believe it's the coolest place. I feel like God just laid it right there for us, right, Erika Laine, the spiritual sanctuary. Mm-hmm. But it's just, there's a forgiveness bridge, and there's little places where you can sit down by a pond and things. And, I just, as we go hiking, we're out there, and I just tell people, go off on your own and have your own time with God and surrender all of those things that you want to say to God. And it was the cutest thing because she won't mind me telling her name, but Belinda's a dear friend of ours. And we had all come back and we were getting ready to leave, and Belinda was so cute because we were like, well, where's Belinda? And Erika Laine, that lady was walking across the field. We're like, is that Belinda? No, she's got a cane. That's not Belinda. But here comes Belinda. And she had tears in her eyes, and we're like, are you okay? You want to tell them what she said? You don't remember? She goes, well, I left it all on Harmony Hill.
Yep.
Because there was like a place with the chimes, and she was just taking her time with God. And, she went on to open her own floral shop. Amazing Incredible. What God kind of brought to her. So really, there's been several people that have left and, done that. But we do hiking. We do, they're just served. They're served food, and they're loved on, and gives people. We have one lady that's been 4 times.
Wow.
That's just one lady's been twice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, getting away is just, you've got to get away. And women people don't. But I'm just speaking on women. They're such caregivers, and they don't take enough time for themselves and to really see what God wants for their life.
So who is this retreat specifically for? Like, who does it minister to? Is it open to all people, or are there specific people that you try to really minister to?
Now, my husband and I have planned on doing couples retreats, and we haven't started that yet, but it is in the plan. But mainly it could be, a young, maybe more like someone that's really just starting out. And I say in church, you don't have to be going to church to come. But I just mean someone that's just starting to learn about God, that maybe wants to, learn a little bit more. Maybe it's really for all ages of women. It could just anybody that's looking for their passion and purpose and where God wants for them. Because, we all know we have talents, and for me, I was a makeup artist, and I did permanent makeup all those years and did makeup for TV and film. I had an awesome career. An esthetician. Almost forgot about that.
A medical esthetician at that.
A medical esthetician, that's right. And I had a wonderful career, and there's nothing, it's great to have your career, but what God has shown me is I've got a whole nother path, and just letting that go in this last year has guided me to these podcasts. It's guided me to finish my book by the end of the year, to go from doing 2 retreats a year to, 6. And then I got asked to speak at my first women's conference. So that was I'm like, what is happening here? It's just amazing when you are obedient. That's my biggest thing. If God speaks to you, whether it's through a thought in your heart, through, I've heard his audible voice twice in my life, but other than that, it's by ideas or directly from prayer. If you're just obedient and dive into that, asking God what it is you're wanting me to do, it's amazing what shows up.
What amazes me is that God took what was some of the most painful, difficult, and challenging seasons of your life. Mm-hmm. You got through it.
Yeah.
and now you want to give back to people and encourage people going through perhaps maybe some of the same things.
And I absolutely love it. And, one of the things, and I will just quote, because during that time, it was around 2008, that was just a very difficult time financially and everything else. And, you can fall easily into the, gosh, you'd see happy couples and you're like, am I ever going to have, the love of my life? I mean, it's normal, but I would snap out of it and those things. But, or am I ever going to not be struggling? And, I want to be a good mom and, not let her see me in this way. And, but, I'll never forget it. And I actually wrote it in my Bible. And Erika Laine and I both still say it to this day. Is our Ed Young, our pastor, said, God is preparing you for what he's prepared for you. Mm-hmm. You don't know how I hung on to that. I mean, at the worst times when, I'd never in my life had my electricity cut off, ever in my life. And we have a funny story about that. It happened. And I paid some on it Friday and they still cut it off.
Wow.
So I was just, can you imagine?
Broke.
And, hey, thank goodness my girlfriend, one of my best friends who had just come back into my life, who was on the show a few weeks ago, she said to me, I called her and I'm crying and I'm like, oh my gosh, what kind of mom am I? I can't believe this has happened. It was just, I was feeling horrible about myself. And Shelly is the funniest thing. She says, hey, wish I could say it the way she did. She goes, hey, it's like about to be dark. Light some candles. Who cares? Just, hang out. And she made it all funny.
That's great.
And took that sadness I felt about myself and just made it funny. And Erika Laine,
and even with me, I thought it was fun. Sweet. We're camping for the night. At least we have this nice bed to sleep in. Instead of on the ground. This is fun.
It was fun. And actually, I'll go into the details later, but we actually flipped it back on ourselves.
When there's a will, there's a way.
There's a way. We learned how to do it. I probably could have got shocked and killed, but you know what? We did it.
So one of the blessings, I know, it's amazing. You took this huge step of faith, started these retreats, and then you told me something that really struck me a little bit earlier. I would love for you to share that. Out of nowhere, here comes Erika Laine, and now she's in many ways a part of this ministry as well.
Now that is a blessing. I mean, she has been, she served, like we said, all along church, but she was up there and she's a trooper. Never complains. It's a lot of work. We load in, we go, the retreats start at 4:00 in the afternoon on Friday, and then they end on Sunday. And Erika Laine's been there for everyone. We do, like I said, we go early to get prepared and get the food prepared. And it's a lot, in their cabin. So it's a lot of, that last one we had was a ton of stairs. But we're carrying in, we decorate, and bring our gift books and just everything that we do to set up. And then, have the house prayed over. And what a beautiful thing to be able to do that with your daughter. Really, I really can't even believe how special that is looking. But she's never come. I say to my mom, I said, or people, I've said, she never even, you'd think you'd be like, this is another container or, another, I don't want to be here.
What do you do? How do you help her?
So obviously getting all of the boxes and stuff out. And I'm like, well, is there anything else I can do? Well, don't worry about that. I'll go out and I'll grab that. Or, and for me, I look at it as I'm serving her for the weekend, just because I know that her mind has to be in a specific place. Of course she's my mom, but she has to be like a leader and like somebody for these women to look up to. She can't be worried about her daughter and if her daughter's hungry or, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm just there and I'm like, what else can I do? What else can I? And actually this last time she was like trying to find somebody to prepare the food. And I'm like, well, you didn't even ask me. And I've been I'm a really good cook.
She's really good. It's a lot to do. We go in and we prepare everything and cut, prepare it on Thursday. But then she served she helps facilitate the whole thing, but she helps, serve, she served all the food and, it's just amazing. And it was good food and everybody, and it was beautiful, the way you did it. But just, even afterwards, we are exhausted afterwards, of course. It's a normal thing. And I was just thinking of us laying on the couch.
Oh, yeah.
all out. But, it's such a special time that she and I get to do this together. And, I know she's about to be moving from South Dakota, but we're going to find a way to get her there for all the others because, I can't, I didn't set out. I know God didn't call me to do it on my own. He just gave me the idea. And we're building teams as we go along, building teams for, each different area that can come in. And we have quite a few in South Dakota that can come and help us.
Like volunteers. And we actually just thought of that this past time. It's funny because we're like, oh, well, we don't want to ask them for that, but they are coming to us like, well, you just let me know if I need to do anything and I'll come out for the day. And so they want to serve. So,
yeah.
And that's what's really fun and cool.
So how do you sign up?
How do you sign up? Kevin is so cute. I love it. It's Amazing Grace, amazinggraceretreats.com. And you can sign up there. I'm going to have all of the dates available for the next year. I'm going to have those I'm hoping sometime in December we'll have all the dates. We're also going to have January 16th. I don't have it out yet, but Walnut Creek Country Club, we're going to have a women's luncheon. We've got 3 other speakers, and that's going to be really great. It's going to be an uplifting, and we all each have something different to offer. And I've got the retreats, to offer, and they've got something as well. So, and then I'll be speaking in South Dakota the 30th of January. But all of those will be on the retreat, and we'll have that website also in the show notes. So thanks for asking me about that and how to how to do it.
That's awesome.
I love it, and I love that you came by here today. I mean, you're special to us. You're so special to us. I mean, you know that how much we love you, and we just love the godly man that you are, the husband, the father. We've we've known you for
a long
time, and you can only hope to have these kind of relationships with people, and we're really grateful that Erika Laine has had you in her life and that I've had you,
Amen.
in our life.
It goes to show too that the kingdom of God, what's encouraging is we may be together for only a season on this earth, right? Like literally maybe in the same church or serving in the same ministry, but all things come to an end. All things in life are for a season. So I was Erika Laine's pastor, but at some point Erika Laine was going to graduate and move on, and it's okay, but all things are for a season. The point is that don't hate the season that you're in. Don't wish it away. Make the most of whatever season you're in. Enjoy the friendships, form great bonds with people, treat people well, because one day that season will come to an end. And it's the old saying, a lot of times people don't realize that they're literally living in the good old days. Yeah. They're always wishing for the next season instead of enjoying the season that they're in, because even when you're going through pain, like you went through painful seasons of your life, look at you now, look at what God is doing in your life now through those seasons that you went through. You wouldn't have the ministry or nearly the impact that you have now had it not been for those seasons. And I would say the same thing for Erika Laine. You went through some great seasons. You went through some incredibly difficult seasons of your life, but here you are right here, right now, ready to tell the story of God's faithfulness in your life. And so I'm really encouraged by you guys and just what God has been doing in your lives. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us again today. I actually just found all of the reviews on Apple, and I'm so grateful for all of those reviews, you guys. I was so humbled. It just makes me know that God has called me to do exactly what God called me to do, and that I answered that call, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you for that. And so also, if you could, when you write a review, put your email so I have a way to contact you and to keep in touch with you. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Amazing Grace Talk.